Grand afternoon and welcome to another segment of CLG View Point. I'm Lorraine Grais, and I am so blessed and honored to have you here today to join me in this segment number 39. It is Monday, March 17th, 2025, and we're going to start with a video on an 85-year-old's secret to staying fit and healthy. On the international news, Cuba suffers major power outage. Moscow invites Musk to collaborate on Mars exploration. And local news, advocates and family of man shot by RCMP in Campbell River launch People's Tribunal to probe police. In BC, a senior living in the woods in Burnaby was shot. Hudson's Bay plans immediate closure, liquidation of entire business. And islanders come together to clean up remains of Prince Edward Island barn fire. Now, each segment, I start with a sage clearing. For some of you who haven't heard of a sage clearing, it's a process where I clear out all negative energies, leaving nothing but positive energy. Only divine love and the divine light is welcome here. I light up a sage stick here. I'm going to send all those low entities back to their perfect place. You are healed and forgiven, enlightened and sent back to your perfect place, escorted by my spiritual guides. And so it is. I am divine love. I'm divine light. Thank you. Well, on to an 85-year-old secret. Yes, secret. To staying fit and healthy.
I'm not crazy about getting up at 6 in the morning and going to the Y to be there at 8 for a tough class, but I know it has fantastic benefits. Well, my name is Jane Karlstrom, and I've been a member of Geyser for approximately 25 years. I'll be 85 in 3 weeks. I probably feel better than I have my whole life.
Activity is very important at any age. It's one of the best ways that you can stay healthy and independent.
It's fun to go. You know, you get there and you think, oh, this again, get out your weights and this stuff. And the minute you get going, and then when you finish, you feel so good.
It helps to counteract a couple of problems that happen as we get older, and that's that loss of bone strength and bone density and loss of muscle mass.
2 years ago, I was in an ambulance on the way to the hospital with pneumonia, and I went home after 4 days, and the visiting nurse came. I met her at the door, all dressed with my makeup on and everything. She said, I'm surprised that I expected you'd be in bed or something. And I am absolutely sure that the fact that I recovered so quickly was because I was in good physical condition.
So exercise is beneficial for so many things, not just for preventing falls, but also for keeping your cardiovascular system strong, decreasing your risk of things like diabetes and heart disease.
The thing I like about all these activities that I attempt to do and do is the people that I've met and the people who are very encouraging.
One of the best things that you can do as you get older is stay socially active as well as physically active.
It's making friends, and they all have the same goal.
There are several good studies that indicate that staying physically active really decreases your risk for dementia rather significantly.
Do what you can in small steps because it really pays off in the end.
Wow, she is sure amazing. She sure inspired me. After this show today, I'm going out for a walk run, getting back into shape again. It's been a few years now, and I always felt so good. I don't know why I slacked off, but anyway, she's inspired me, and I will start today. And now, on to international news. Cuba suffers major power outage after substation failure leaves millions, yes, millions, without electricity. By the Associated Press, updated March 15, 2025. Havana, millions, yes, millions of people in Cuba remained without power Saturday after a failure of the nation's electric grid left the island in the dark the previous night. The massive blackout is the fourth in the last 6 months as a severe economic crisis plagues the Caribbean country. The Ministry of Energy and Mines, in a statement on social media, attributed the latest outage to a failure at a substation in the suburbs of Havana, the capital. Internet and telephone service were intermittent about Saturday evening, and after power went out around 8 p.m. local time on Friday. Experts have said the electricity disruptions are a result of a fuel shortages at power plants and aging infrastructure. Now, most plants have been in operation for more than 30 years. Now, on to a video.
A blackout triggered by the collapse of a major power plant, Cuba managed to restore limited power to its grid by Friday evening, although 90% of the island remained without electricity, including some of the key hospitals. Here's a report.
Cuba plunged into a countrywide blackout after the collapse of one of its major power plants Friday. By evening, officials said a trickle of power to its grid was restored. Grid operator UNE said it hoped to restart at least 5 of its oil-fired generation plants overnight, so it can gradually restore power to broader areas of the country. The vast majority of the country's 10 million residents were still in the dark on Friday night. Scattered pockets of the capital, Havana, including some of the city's major hospitals, saw lights flicker back on shortly after dark. Residents lit candles and fires and got through their Friday evening. A local, Rafael Pedro Gomez, says small children, the elderly and the sick were suffering the most from the outage. And an employee of a hostel, Claudia Amanda Betancourt, says without electricity, guests in the room don't have air conditioning. Virtually all businesses in Havana ground to a halt on Friday. Earlier, the government was forced to close schools. Most state workers were sent home in a last-ditch effort to keep the lights on after weeks of severe power outages. Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel on TV told people to remain united and urged caution to residents from misinformation on social media. The blackout comes as residents are also suffering from shortages of food, fuel, water and medicine. Officials blamed the outage on deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages and rising demand. They also said strong winds from Hurricane Milton last week hampered fuel deliveries to power plants. Cuba has long blamed US Cold War-era embargo and sanctions under former President Donald Trump for difficulties in acquiring fuel and spare parts to operate its oil-fired plants. The country's largest oil supplier, Venezuela, has also reduced shipments in the first 9 months of the year, while Russia and Mexico have also greatly reduced fuel shipments to the island.
For all the latest news, download the We
My personal thoughts. Do you think that the USA should lift its sanctions against Cuba so that Cuba can purchase spare parts to fire up the rest of the oil plants, thus bringing electricity to its people? I believe that the U.S. sanctions are doing more harm to the Cuban children, the elderly, and the sick, the most vulnerable of the Cuban people. And electricity is an essential service. Moscow invites Musk to collaborate on Mars exploration. RT News, March 15, 2025. Russia and the U.S. should work together for the glory of humanity, not its destruction. Sovereign Wealth Fund head and economic envoy Kirill Dmitriev has said. Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund head Kirill Dmitriev has pitched a U.S.-Russia partnership for Mars exploration to Elon Musk. In a post on X on Saturday, Dmitriev, who has also taken on the role of chief economic envoy in the U.S.-Russia talks, quoted or noted the importance of space collaboration between the two countries for the glory of humanity. Dmitriev's remarks came in response to Musk's announcement of a planned 2026 Mars mission. The SpaceX founder stated that the company's Starship spacecraft is set to depart for Mars next year and will be carrying a Tesla humanoid bot called Optimus. Musk also suggested that human landings on Mars could begin as early as 2029. Shall 2029 be the year of a joint U.S.-Russia mission to Mars? At Elon Musk, our minds and technology should serve the glory of humanity, not its destruction, Dmitriev wrote. He also noted that 2025 marks the 50th anniversary of the Apollo-Soyuz test project, the first crewed international space mission carried out jointly by then space flight rivals, the U.S. and the Soviet Union, in July 1975. Musk has not yet publicly responded to Dmitriev's proposal, but the idea has garnered a slew of positive reactions from ex-users. Now on to the short video.
We're going to go to the moon, we're going to have a base on the moon, we're going to send people to Mars, and make life multi-planetary.
You think that there will be a partnership between Musk and Moscow to have the first crewed international space mission to Mars? Only time will tell. Exciting and upcoming new technology will definitely bring us forward into the future of space travel. Now, on to local news. Advocates and family of man shot by RCMP in Campbell River launched People's Tribunal to probe police. The Canadian Press, written by Nono Shen, March the 14th, 2025. Laura Holland's voice shook with emotion as she talked about her smart and affectionate son, saying she is tired of waiting for justice for him. Jared Lowndes, or Jay as his family called him, was shot twice in the back by police as he sat in his vehicle at a Tim Hortons drive-thru in Campbell River, BC in July 2021. Holland said at a news conference on Friday that her family was torn apart following her son's death at age 38. And she has been doing everything she can to seek justice for him and other Indigenous people who have been killed by police in the province. The only spark of life that we have is that our loved ones are pushing us, because if we don't speak out, they will keep killing us, she said. Holland joined with legal advocates and other groups on Friday to announce a People's Tribunal to investigate crimes committed by police against racialized communities. Systematic racism fuels an epidemic of police violence against these communities, said a news release from the groups, which includes the BC Civil Liberties Association, Pivot Legal Society, Care Not Cops, and Justice for Jared. The BC Prosecution Service last year declined to lay charges against the 3 officers involved in the shooting. The service said that Lowndes had reversed his vehicle into a police vehicle, tried to spray officers with bear spray, and had stabbed a police dog to death. The BC RCMP did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the People's Tribunal. Holland said her son was reading Schindler's List by the time he was 12, that he always did his best to take care of people, hugged everyone he knew, and helped his elders. It just seems impossible, and the only way for our family and other families to have any justice, to find any semblance of justice, is to have a People's Tribunal, said Holland. Holland said the tribunal will offer a chance for members and families who lost their loved ones due to police violence to talk about racism and other unlawful practices within Canada's police forces. The tribunal will gather and share information about crimes by police, the group said. Tracking of police-involved deaths in Canada shows Black people died at 6 times the rate of their white counterparts, while Indigenous people die at 8 times the rate of those who are white, the group says. The tribunal's first event will be held Saturday in Vancouver's downtown east side before traveling across BC. The Tola Farrell Police Staff Council with the BC Civil Liberties Association said Indigenous communities have been over-policed and underprotected, and the forum should shine a light on systematic failures of law enforcement and the legal system. We've seen time and time again that the narrative in the public is often detrimental to the credibility of both the community and the person who was killed, she said. We see that the state and police control that narrative in a way to denigrate from a person's characteristic in order to justify why they deserve to be killed. She said having the tribunal will allow families to take back that narrative, to tell their side of the story, and to rectify the harm that the authority has done to their loved ones. Not just in killing them, but harming them, harming their memory and legacy. Holland said now is also a critical time for members of the Indigenous community to rally together, given there has been so much news lately, with politicians denying remains found at former residential school sites and Vancouver Mayor Ken Sims' leaked memo that suggested relocating Indigenous people from the downtown east side. Meenakshi Mano, representing the advocacy group Defund 604, said the tribunal could help provide oversight of police. It's a community-based forum that's going to uplift the voices of directly impacted family members rather than investing power in colonial tools of government and lawyers and academics. It's putting that power back in the hands of community, said Mano. My personal thoughts. The people have spoken. A thorough investigation into the police-involved deaths in Canada. All peoples of all nationalists of Canada are to be treated equally under natural law. No one group, yes, no one group, is to have power over another, no matter what color they are. We are all equal under natural law. Yes, equal. What is your thoughts of a full forensic audit under natural law? BC Crimes News, senior living in Woods in Burnaby, shot, Vancouver Sun, March 16, 2025. A 71-year-old man living in Burnaby Woods is in hospital with serious injuries after being shot. Burnaby RCMP were called to a wooded area near Highway 1 and Willingdon Avenue at about 10:15 Saturday. The injured victim, who appears to have been living in the wooded area, was located and taken to the hospital, where he is continuing to undergo treatment, said the RCMP spokesperson in a statement. While the victim's injuries appear serious, he is in stable condition. A motive has not been determined, but police said it is believed to be an isolated incident. Police have closed a section of the westbound slow lane of Highway 1 as they investigate. Witnesses and anyone with information is asked to call Burnaby RCMP. My personal thoughts. Enough is enough. Why is this elderly man living in the forest when he should be living in a safe home out of harm's way? Are there others living in the forest? There are many people still living on the streets. Under natural law, homelessness is illegal, as all people in Canada are to have a home. The political officials will be held accountable under natural law if they haven't provided homes for the homeless. The funding has been provided for. It's time to take action. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Hudson's Bay plans immediate liquidation of entire business. Global News. Saturday, March the 15th, 2025. Analysts say the planned liquidation of Hudson's Bay will leave a hole in the country's retail landscape as Canada's oldest company prepares to wind down in the coming months unless it can find a last-minute solution. Retail experts attribute a combination of missteps that led to Friday night's announcement from Hudson's Bay, which said it would begin liquidation its entire business as soon as next week, pending court approval. The department store chain that dates back to 1670, and now spans 80 stores, said it has been forced toward a full liquidation because exhaustive efforts haven't turned up the financing it needs to keep at least some of its empire alive. A closure of the entire business, which is planned pending a court appearance set for Monday, would mean job losses for 9,364 employees the company has in Canada across its Hudson's Bay stores, as well as 3 Saks Fifth Avenue stores and 13 Saks off Fifth locations it owns through a licensing agreement. The liquidation process would wrap up in June. It's really, really sad because of how many people are going to be impacted because of this, said Liza Amlani, co-founder of the Retail Strategy Group. It's an iconic brand. It's important to Canadians, and there will be a gap in the market if the Bay completely disappears. And on to the video.
There's a grim reality in the hope to save Canada's last traditional department store chain after it was unable to secure necessary funding needed to keep it afloat.
It's probably going to take a little bit of a miracle for them to kind of survive.
Hudson's Bay preparing for the immediate liquidation of its entire business.
Just a company that didn't invest, got caught in the wrong channel, failed to launch a strategy to keep up with newer consumers, and had some bad housekeeping in terms of paying vendors, paying landlords.
At stake is 80 plus stores and more than 9,000 employees. Saks off 5th and Saks Fifth Avenue stores would also close. In a statement on Friday, the company says, quote, "These powerful experiences remind us why we must continue to pursue every possible opportunity support from key landlords and other stakeholders to save the Bay. While it's no longer Canadian-owned, experts say it would still be a loss."
It's the end of the department store era in Canada as we know it. And, others have fallen by the wayside. You think of Sears Canada, you think of Simpsons, Eaton's, there's a number of Robinsons, etc.
And for customers, the time is ticking.
So what I'd recommend consumers, if they have a gift card, get out today and tomorrow and spend it.
I came here as fast as I could to use my gift card because I know it's going to be gone next.
Customers also hoping for the best.
Hudson's Bay will be sad for it to go.
Sad to see if they close down.
The company says if they receive a court order on Monday, the liquidation process could begin as early as next week, wrapping up in June.
Personal thoughts. Times are sure changing. The Bay will be missed. The Bay was no longer a Canadian-based company. What does natural law say about Canadian-owned businesses? Something to look into. Islanders come together to clean up remains of Prince Edward Island barn fire. Written by Justine Tall, special to The Guardian. March the 15th, 2025. Emily Oliver was picking up the pieces of her burned down barn on March the 9th, but she was not alone. Some volunteers were digging into the ground with old rusted shovels, exposing what was left of the foundation following the February 10th barn fire. Others were using angle grinders to cut chains and wire. It was cold, but that did not stop the laughter and conversation. More than 25 Islanders were volunteering to help Oliver and the Oliver Ohana farm near Oyster Bed Bridge rebuild following the fire. The fire resulted in the barn burning down and more than a dozen animals were killed, including horses, cows, and cats. Oliver did not know everyone who was helping out. In fact, she only knew a few. "I don't cry. I don't do feelings, and I never cried so much in my life," said Oliver. "I am just so thankful. I have people coming in all the way from Alberton down here, and that's quite a drive. It's absolutely amazing." Oliver, who moved to Prince Edward Island from Ontario, remarked how different island hospitality is from her home province. "In Ontario, we don't know our neighbors, but here everybody knows their neighbors and they take care of each other." While not a neighbor, Miranda Lidstone previously worked on the farm. "I got to work with a lot of animals when I worked here," she said. "Knowing that some of them had passed in the fire really hurt me. But it's great that there's people here helping, and it brought the community together. Others, such as Brandon Lee, have never been to the farm before Sunday's cleanup." "I've heard the name," said Lee, "but I've never actually ended up coming out here before." Lee brought along his friends, including Kylie Peters, to help out. Peters heard about the cleanup through a Facebook post. "Someone I know lives up the road from here," said Peters. "So that first night the fire happened, she saw Peters is glad that the Islanders are supportive in this time of need." "I love Prince Edward Island and I love everyone here, so I thought it was really great for everybody to come out and help. And I'm really glad to see this happening. It kind of makes me feel like there's still some hope left for our community." Oliver is currently negotiating with her insurance company to cover the costs. Regardless, she is confident that the farm will reopen in the spring. If insurance covers it, we will build a new barn. If not, we will renovate the barn, the big one. I think we're going to open, though. She wants the island to know that she's grateful for the help and the support. My personal thoughts. Such an amazing and heartfelt story of how a community as a whole showed their love and support by giving their own time and skills to help build Emily's barn that was destroyed in the fire. That is community spirit and unconditional love. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais of CLG View Point, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you being here today with me. If you feel compelled to, please share this form. Dr. Virtual 7 Empower Dynamics. I'm closing with this subliminal message, and it's stealth grade bravery. Enjoy. Have a truly wonderful day. And see you on Tuesday, March the 18th, 2025. Until we meet again.